wondered how athletes get the results that they do, like those crazy muscles or insane strength? Or maybe do you know someone who's taking supplements to help boost their workout performance and achieve better results at the gym? There are so many health and sport related products out there, all marketed through a lens that highlights their benefits, whether that is to enhance performance, help you build muscle, or even sharpen your focus. But here's the thing, many companies don't always tell you the full story. Some often exaggerate their benefits, use selective and misleading evidence, and even create ads that are more financially driven than scientifically supported. So in this video, as a group, we will examine Allmax creatine monohydrate to see which of the claims made by the company are genuinely supported by research and which ones might be overstated or not fully backed up by credible and reliable evidence. So what exactly is creatine? Creatine is a compound that naturally exists within our bodies and is stored mainly within muscle tissue. It was first discovered back in 1832 and since then has become one of the most widely researched and used supplements in sports and exercise medicine. Chemically, creatine's main job is to help regenerate ATP, which is an immediate energy source that our muscles use for short, intense activities, including sprinting and weightlifting. Our bodies produce creatine naturally in the liver, kidneys, and pancreas. We can also obtain small amounts from foods like in red meat or fish. But for many people, especially athletes, diet alone doesn't raise creatine levels enough to see performance benefits. So that's where supplementation comes in. In synthetic forms of creatine, like those of Amex creatine monohydrate, they're all designed to closely mimic the creatine our body naturally produces. Allmax advertises their version as easily absorbable and essentially the closest form to naturally occurring creatine as it gets. These exaggerated expectations can make consumers, especially those who aren't familiar with how exactly creatine works, assume they'll become the next gold medalist or even the next Dwayne Johnson just by taking the supplement alone. This being said, who exactly is Allmax Nutrition? Allmax is a Canadian based supplement company that produces a wide range of sports nutrition products, everything from protein powders to amino acids, and of course, creatine monohydrate. Allmax markets itself as a high quality, science backed brand. They emphasize that their products are pharmaceutically tested, clinically reviewed, and made with high purity ingredients. You'll usually see Allmax promoting a lot of their content with strong visuals such as lean physiques, heavy lifting clips, and even athletic performance shots, all designed to make consumers associate their products with elite level results. All of this plays a huge role in shaping how the product is perceived, and it's exactly why it's important to look at all the evidence behind the claims that they make.
Allmax makes several major claims about their creatine monohydrate. They state that it improves exercise performance, increases strength, and promotes gains in muscle mass. These are all measurable outcomes, but by the way the company presents them varies in clarity. Their exercise performance claim is moderately specific because it targets high intensity, short duration activity, and things like repeated sprints, explosive lifts, and total power output. These are all variables that can be accurately tested in a lab. Their strength claim is also specific and easy to measure using objective tools like 1-rep max testing. But when it comes to muscle mass, the language becomes a little vague. Allmax often uses phrases like generally leads to or supports increases in lean muscle mass. This style of wording avoids committing to a strong definitive statement, which can be a red flag from a consumer evidence standpoint. Another issue is that Allmax heavily relies on researching using generic creatine monohydrate, not their own product. So even if the ingredient itself is well supported, the company doesn't present product-specific trials. This weakens their strength and claims because they're assuming the evidence for generic creatine perfectly applies to their formulation. This may not always be true, and it introduces potential bias when interpreting the results. Allmax also claims that creatine supplementation leads to measurable increases in strength, especially when combined with resistance training. They market their product as one of the most researched and most effective supplements for strength development. There is good evidence supporting this kind of claim. For example, Wang and colleagues in 2024 conducted a systematic review and meta-analysis on adults under 50. Their findings showed that creatine plus resistance training produced noticeable improvements in both upper and lower body strength compared to training alone. However, Allmax doesn't acknowledge key moderating factors, things like genetics, sex differences, diet, or training experience. These can all influence how much strength someone actually gains from creatine. And again, their claims rely on generic creatine data, not research conducted on Allmax's exact formulation. So while creatine is effective, the company may overstate how confidently they can claim these results for their specific product.
When it comes to cognitive benefits, Allmax makes some bold promises about creatine. They suggest that their product can protect the brain, boost short-term memory, and enhance rapid information processing. Sounds impressive, right? But when we take a closer look, these claims aren't as solid as they appear. Allmax often uses vague language, phrases like may improve, could enhance, or may promote. This wording is intentional. It makes the research they cite seem more conclusive and relevant to everyone, even though the evidence doesn't fully support that. A lot of the studies they reference are meta-analysis or secondary sources. These don't actually provide new findings. They summarize previous research about creatine in general. For example, a study in 2018 reviewed multiple randomized control trials. They found that cognitive results were mixed. Healthy young adults between 18 and 35 showed very small improvements, while older adults aged 60 to 80 saw inconsistent results. This suggests that factors like age and baseline creatine levels may influence whether someone sees benefits at all. In 2010, another study explored creatine's neurological effects, but mostly in animal models. Their findings were interesting, showing potential cognitive changes in brain activity and neurotransmitters. But, of course, results in animals can't automatically be applied to humans. So even though the idea of creatine improving brain function sounds exciting, the reality is still uncertain. Most of the research is preliminary, limited by methodology, or focused on very specific populations. And that's where Allmax falls short. They leave out critical information. Without acknowledging these limitations, the claims appear stronger than the actual scientific evidence behind them.
Lastly, Allmax claims that creatine improves muscle recovery by reducing inflammation, fatigue, and muscle damage. Several studies, including those by Harris in 1976, Shallon in 1979, and Kreider and colleagues in 2017, do provide evidence that creatine plays a role in phosphocreatine synthesis, ATP regeneration, reducing oxidative stress, and regulating calcium levels. All of these processes are essential to proper muscle contraction and recovery. In these studies, researchers carefully isolate specific muscle groups and cellular processes to better understand how creatine may influence recovery at a physiological level. However, not all findings support these claims. Cooper and colleagues back in 2012 report that creatine did not significantly reduce muscle inflammation when compared to a placebo group, unless it was combined with specific training conditions. This suggests that benefits of creatine may depend on the type of exercise being performed, as well as individual differences between users. Overall, Almac's claims about creatine monohydrate are only partially supported by scientific evidence. The strongest and most reliable research comes from well designed studies, including randomized controlled trials and meta analysis, which consistently show improvements in muscular strength and physical performance across different populations and study designs. In contrast, claims related to cognitive benefits and muscle recovery are not nearly as well supported. The available evidence is inconsistent, limited, and often lacking clear discussion of important study limitations. This concludes our analysis of Almax Creatine's claim statements. By examining their marketing alongside scientific evidence, we found that some claims align well with established research, while others extend beyond what data can confidently support. Overall, this review underscores the importance of critically assessing supplement claims rather than relying solely on promotional messaging. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed the video.